The Gladiators franchise is one of the most successful in game show history, all starting with the original American Gladiators airing its first episode in September of 1989. Since then, there have been a plethora of international versions of the show. Perhaps the most successful and certainly the most memorable for viewers of this channel is the UK version of Gladiators, which debuted in 1992 and at the time of writing is midway through the second series of its second revival. Sweden produced their own version of the show between 2000 and 2004, and again between 2012 and 2018. South Africa produced 4 series between 1999 and 2002, and many other countries have hosted their own versions of the show, including Australia, Finland, Denmark, Japan, and Nigeria, as well as an Arab country's version of the show in 2009, featuring gladiators and contenders from across the Middle East. Alongside the shows themselves, there have been quite a lot of toys, collectibles, merchandise, and other memorabilia produced, and in this video we're going to take a look at one of the first of these, the American Gladiators video game. Developed by Incredible Technologies and released initially in 1991 by GameTech for the Nintendo Entertainment System, in the game you compete in a series of events from the show in an attempt to topple the gladiators and emerge victorious. And in this video we're going to take a look back at the different versions of this game that were released for various systems in the early 90s before I play through both the NES and Super Nintendo versions and attempt to beat the game. Before we start, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. Let's start with the NES version of American Gladiators, the first that was released in October of 1991. This version of the game is very different from the show itself and from what future releases of this game would be. The game is split into different levels of increasing difficulty, and in each level, players must complete 5 of the 6 events this game has to offer: Joust, The Wall, Human Cannonball, Powerball, and Assault. After completing each of these 5 games, the game's level would increase and all 5 games would have to be completed again. There are 4 levels, and after reaching the end of level 4, players would then take on the Eliminator. Firstly, Joust. In this game, you battle 4 gladiators one at a time on a series of platforms that had to be crossed between each battle. This event, as well as Human Cannonball, are quite famous for the incredible scream the gladiators make when they're knocked off. Very different to Joust from the show, more of a simple platform game level. Next, Human Cannonball is quite similar in the sense that you have to defeat 4 gladiators one at a time, but now you have to swing across between each platform, and the aim of the game is to perfectly time your jumps in order to knock the gladiator off. Once again, that scream. The Wall is absolutely huge and has some quite difficult controls that take a while to get used to, as you have to alternate tapping the A and B buttons as well as the directional pad in order to move your player up and across. Careful movement is required here to progress at a good pace while avoiding the gladiators who randomly appear at various stages of the wall. Assault feels very much like a shooter game as you move up the screen looking for bazookas to shoot the gladiator with, all the while avoiding the projectiles coming towards you. In the first level, shooting the gladiator 3 times would end the game, and this increases to 4, 5, and 6 hits as each level progresses. Then there's Powerball, which is very similar to the game in the show itself, where you have to pick up the balls and put them in the baskets in the middle. Quite a fun game, this one. After completing all of these games 4 times for each of the 4 levels, it's on to the final event, the Eliminator. You start on a series of platforms that you have to jump across while avoiding the ridiculous number of medicine balls being thrown up at you attempting to knock you off. After this, you jump up onto a hand bike and have to make your way across, again avoiding the orange medicine balls. Then it's back onto some platforms which are now moving in various directions, making this section way more difficult than the last. Then another hand bike section before the final part of the course, the zip lines down to the finish. Here you basically have to time your jump off of each zip line to grab the handles for the next zip line in time, with the speed of the zip lines increasing as you go down. Reach the bottom and emerge victorious. Overall, this game can be very difficult, particularly with some of the controls, and the events are quite different to those played in the actual show. In 1992 and 93, however, the game would be ported to a number of other systems, including the Amiga, Sega Genesis, and Super Nintendo, where the game would be given a bit of a refresh and the events would more closely resemble those of the actual show. Let's take a look at the Super Nintendo version of the game, the one that I'll be playing shortly. We have the same events as last time, with the addition of another event, Atlas Spheres, and the events were always played in the same order, namely Assault, Human Cannonball, which wasn't on the Genesis version, Atlas Spheres, Joust, Powerball, and then the Wall. There were also a few changes to how the games worked in terms of the time allowed and the points that were available. The first game, Assault, looks a lot more like the event in the actual show, where the contender would have to run to different stations and fire weapons at a target above the Gladiator, where you get 1 point for each weapon fired, 5 points for hitting the outer rim of the target, and 10 points for a bullseye. In Human Cannonball, there's now only one swing against one Gladiator, and this time from a first-person perspective. Unfortunately, that glorious scream is gone in this version of the game. The third game, Atlas Spheres, is a top-down version of the event from the show, where the contender has to roll their Atlas Sphere over the pods to accrue points, with 1 point awarded for each successful score. One of the biggest improvements was to the event Joust, which is now a lot more faithful to the actual event from the show, except the goal wasn't to knock the Gladiator off, but instead to deplete their health bar before yours to win the event. Powerball is largely the same as in the NES version, so not much to talk about here, before the final event, the Wall, which is a lot shorter than the NES version and is again a lot closer to the Wall in the TV show. After this, it's on to the Eliminator, which is very different to the NES version and is actually a lot easier as well, now that there are no showers of medicine balls attempting to knock you off at every moment. Reach the end first to be awarded 10 points, and at the end of all of the events, the player with the most points overall would win. Overall, there's no getting away from the fact that these games aren't particularly great. The games received a series of mixed reviews at the time, with complaints about how some of the events only lasted a few seconds, while others bemoaned how repetitive the gameplay was and the lack of skill required in a lot of the events. Playing this game on your own, it's not something you're going to sit down and play for hours, but it's actually quite a fun game when played in its multiplayer mode with other people. So if you've never played it before, bring a few friends around and give it a go. Now that we've had a bit of an overview of both the original NES version as well as the Super Nintendo version, it's time for me to play through both to give you a feel for how the games flow from start to finish, if I can actually beat these games, that is. Brace yourselves, because I am by no means talented at these games. Okay, so it's my turn now to play through both the NES and Super Nintendo versions of American Gladiators. Small disclaimer before we start, I am not very good at these games, so I don't think we're going to be getting all the way to the Eliminator. But I will play through the first level, play through each of the 5 events, just to give you a bit of a feel for the game. I will say I do think this is the better version. If I had to pick one to play, this would be the one. Now on the title screen we get the option of 1 or 2 player. We are of course choosing 1 player. And then before you start there is also an option to enter a password, which is basically just A's and B's. This is used for if you get to level 2, 3 or 4 and you lose all your lives, it will give you a password so that you can go back into that level rather than starting from the beginning. But we're not going to do that, we're just going to go straight into level 1 and we'll play each of the 5 events. So here are the 5 events that we can play. We've got Joust, the Wall, Human Cannonball, Powerball, and Assault. And the good thing about this game is you can play these in any order that you want. You don't have to play them in the same order every time like you do in the Super Nintendo version. So I think let's go with Human Cannonball to start. And before each event, we also get a picture of the Gladiator and a quote. So he's saying, "I'm the Ayatollah of Smackola." That definitely sounds like something The Rock would possibly have said, but anyway. Okay, so in we go. We got to defeat 4 gladiators. And I think the trick here is you want to grab this rope near the bottom. Like that. And then you want to time the swing so that you're just sort of arriving like parallel with the gladiator. About here. Right like that. Perfect. And we get to hear that glorious scream once again. So let's grab the rope. I think if you grab the rope higher up, there is a way to shimmy down on the rope, I think. But I haven't figured that out yet. So we're still a bit too high. Okay, this looks good. There we go. That's 2. Can I get a perfect game? Probably not, but I'll certainly try. Okay, let's wait for the rope. I think now we can get it. Oh no. Okay, so that's just lost 1 of our 5 lives. Hopefully we don't lose them all. Okay, we're right at the bottom. That's good. We're a bit too high though. We're just trying to wait for the gladiator to come up to be at the right level. I think that's still too high. Maybe the next one. Yeah. There we go. That's 3, and now we got the last one. There we go, and that's the last one. So that's 4. And then, so you get 5 points for each gladiator that you knock off of their platform, and then whatever time you've got left also gets converted into points. So we got 91. Okay. Let's try Assault next. This is much easier in level 1 than it is in level like 3 and 4. In level 4, this is really hard because the gladiator is firing so many projectiles at you. The weapon that you need to pick up is not on like your side of the barrier, it's on the other side, so it's really dangerous to go out and get it, but you have to go out and get it, and it's hard. This one, it's not too bad. So we want to pick this up, and we want 3 hits. I want to hit him 3 times. There's 1. Ooh. Okay, that's maybe I've been hit once as well. It's okay. Okay, we missed. Okay, there's 2. Now we're gonna have to go and get the next weapon as well. No. Okay. We only need 1 hit, so we should be okay. How am I going to do this? Now, there we go. See, that one's not too difficult. Level 4 is really hard, but on level 1, not bad. Okay, let's try the wall next. As I mentioned in the video, the way to do the wall is you got to alternate tapping A and B, which is supposed to sort of simulate your left and right hand as you climb. My controller is quite loud, so you're going to be hearing every little click, so apologies for that, but it will maybe give you a bit of a feel for what this game is like to play. And you got to be careful, you don't want to like go into a zone where you like can't grab a hold of something, because if you do that, then you'll just fall. And then like that, when the gladiator falls, if they fall onto you, then you also tumble down. So you just got to be careful. Now I've done this level quite a few times, so I know the route. I know when the gladiators are coming, so it should be okay. I think there's another one comes down now. There it is. And then I sort of move in here, that just like makes them fall off. Now, one thing I didn't mention in the video is the wall has like a special power-up that you can collect, which is like a picture of a fist. And it's basically like a speed boost, but it means that you don't have to tap A and B to move. It just moves really, really quickly. I'm going to avoid it though, because it is a little bit annoying. You can very easily just go off course. But I think we're going to see one in a moment. Yeah, over there on the right. But I think we're just going to ignore it and we're just going to go for it. This is the hard bit. There we go. And then I think now it's just a straight climb to the top. And there we go. I'm quite proud of doing that in one attempt without failing. And now we've got 231 points, not bad. Okay, 2 events left. Let's do Joust. Get to hear those glorious screams once again. Now, I think with this game, in the lower levels, I think you can just button mash it and just get away with it and just hit them. But in the higher levels, you need to sort of time it, and you need to look at the pattern of hits that the enemy or the gladiator's throwing out. So if they go, because if you watch my guy, you can go high like this, you can go low, and then you can go sort of in the middle. And I think the idea is that you want to sort of counter what they're doing. So if they hit low, like just as they're about to hit low, you hit high, and that will hit them. And if they hit high, you hit low, and then if it's in the middle, if you both go in the middle, then I think it's okay. You can also, okay, well, that's me. Lost another life. You can also block by doing this, holding back and pressing A or B. Anyway, let's see if we can get this completed. Let's hear that scream one more time. Excellent. I think that's an extra life, so we want to pick that up. Is that an extra life, or is it maybe... No, I think it's actually done something to... Oh, okay, so it does something to your big pugil stick, is that what they call it? Must just be a one-hit kill with that. That's pretty good. I thought it was an extra life, but... Anyway, that's us done with Joust, so we've got 350 points, not bad. And the last one, Powerball. Now with Powerball, it's quite interesting that if you get a ball into all 5 baskets, then you get an extra life. So let's see if we can do that. Don't drop the ball. It's that simple. Okay. Now, if the gladiator comes anywhere near you, the ball's gone. But you can kind of control where the gladiators go. Because they kind of like swing back and forth. So if I go back here, and then I come over here, he'll sort of follow me over. And if I go over here, he'll follow me. So you can sort of time it and kind of get them out the way. Get away from me. Okay. Right, let's get another ball. I want to bring him over here. No. Okay, that's 3. That's pretty good. We don't have much time though. No. I don't think we're going to do it. No. Okay, never mind. Oh, we got 3. Not bad. So as you can see now, we completed all 5 levels, and now it has increased to level 2, and it gave us 1 more life. And now we basically have to play all of the same events once again. They do increase in difficulty slightly. I'll show you what I mean by that. Maybe I'll go into the wall and I can show you that it's a completely different wall. I mean, look at it now. It's very, very different. It's the same idea, but it's just a completely different wall. See if I can actually do this in one go. That would be... But you can see here, like these little narrow... These are getting narrow, right? So you need to be like... Oh, no! You need to be like really careful with where you put your hands and how you move your contender. Okay, I've just fallen off again. Anyway, so that is the NES version of American Gladiators. Let's now switch over to the Super Nintendo version and compare the two and see which one you think is the better game. Okay, so we've now switched over to the Super Nintendo version of American Gladiators. This is the title screen that we get greeted with once we come into the game. So there's 2 modes. There's 1-to-1 or tournament, where you get put into a bracket, and if you win, you progress through the bracket, and if you lose, then it's game over. But we're just going to do the 1-to-1 version. Then you get to choose male or female. Doesn't really matter to the gameplay, I don't think. Possibly it does, but I think it's just the exact same no matter what. But we're just going to choose male. And then you can type in your name. So let's type in back in the day. And then we click end. And now we're just straight into the game. And there's no game selection like there is on the NES version. Instead, we just go straight into the very first game, which I can't even remember what it is, to be honest. It's going to tell us at the bottom. Coming up, Assault. Okay, so the first one is Assault. And it's basically us against some AI called Sean. So let's get into it. Now, this game is a little bit tricky, I think. So you start here, and then you want to run over to the first zone. Is that zone? Or the first thing with a weapon, and then we want to grab the weapon. And then in the top right, we want to use this to sort of aim. Now, I don't really know how you aim because I don't know what I'm aiming at. So we'll just put it in the middle, see what happens. Nope. So we missed. Okay, and then you basically run back out like this. And then you run across to the next station. And then we want to make sure we're well hidden. And we pick up the weapon and we're going to aim again. Again, like I don't really know what I'm aiming at here. Like, I guess I want to be aiming sort of up here like that. No, I missed. Okay, never mind. Okay. Whoa. Yeah, those balls can hit you very, very easily, so you need to be quick. Oh, and I'm out of time. Okay, I must have been taking way too long to shoot those. But that's it. And I think the aiming thing is really weird because sometimes you aim, it doesn't look like you've hit anything, but then on the screen it will come up and say, "Oh, you've got a bullseye," or "You hit the outside of the bullseye," or something like that. It's a little bit crap, is what I'm trying to say. I think the NES version of that is this. The NES version is better. It's a better game. This one is, I guess, a little bit closer to what the actual game is in the show. But anyway, let's move on to the next one, which is Human Cannonball. So in the top of the screen, you can see these bars. So we're player 1, so we're on the left. The left bar is the power bar, and the right bar is your sort of aiming bar. I think you want to get the one on the left to be about sort of 75% power or speed, and then the one on the right you want in the middle. So let's see if we can do that. It's very, very tricky. Here we go. That looks pretty good, actually. We might actually hit him. Oh, too slow. Okay, we must have been going a bit too slow. So there, you want that power bar to be just that little bit higher, a little bit more pace. But that's it. That's the end of the event. It's very, very short. I think it would be better if on that event you could do it 3 times or 5 times or something like that. That's one of the things that is the downfall of this game, is the events are so short and in no time we're going to be at the end. This one's quite fun though, Atmospheres. We basically just want to roll our ball over the pods in order to score some points. I'm on the left, on the right is the AI. And you got to be slow going over them, because if you go too fast, it won't register. So there we go, there's 1. There's 2. And there's 3. Okay, we're doing well. AI's got 3 as well. There we go. There's 4. There's 5. I think this is probably the best I've ever done on this game. Okay, we didn't get that one. Oh, he's just scored that. He's on 5 as well. Come on. No. Okay, there we go. There's 6. AI's on 6 as well. Can we get one more? No, we can't. And anytime one of the Gladiators balls hits you, you just like stop immediately. It's a little bit jarring. It's quite tricky, but anyway, we're in the lead. That's the main thing. We've got 8 points, and AI Sean has got 6. On to the next event. I can't actually remember what it is. Is it Joust? It might be Joust next. A game that I've never won. I've never won this. Now it looks great. It looks way better, and it looks like the version in the show. But it's really tricky, I think. It's really, really hard. And for some reason, you can jump. Like that. Have you ever seen anyone jump on Duel? Ever? Come on. Yeah, we're going to lose this. And there we go. And when you lose all your life, you don't get knocked off. You just take a knee, which I think is a bit strange. Isn't the whole point of Duel to knock them off? That's kind of how the game works. Anyway, up next is Powerball. This is very similar to the NES version, but it's just not as good because it's got this split screen thing. So it feels like you can't really see what you're doing. So I'm on the left again. So I've got a ball. And I've been tackled. Okay. Now when you pick up the ball, when you get to the basket, you need to angle your directional pad like towards the basket and then press the button like that to put it in. If you don't do that, the ball won't go in. Oh, that's been tackled again. How has he got 3 already? Okay, that's just got one of these balls. Get it in the basket. Get it in. I missed. Okay. See, that's what I mean. You need to be like just at the right sort of angle. The right angle to get it. Can I get the middle one? I missed. How did I miss? Okay, 2 seconds. And we're out of time. So I've only scored 1. AI Sean scored 3, so yeah, we're tied on 9 points. Okay, up next is the wall. I don't know what I'm doing on this, to be honest. I think it's supposed to be the same as in the NES version with alternating A and B. But to me, it just feels a bit more clunky. I feel like I need to be faster at this game, and I'm not. Although we are doing okay here. We're doing okay, actually. Are we going to win it? We're going to need to be quick to win it. Oh, come on. Okay. AI Sean has won it, but at least we made it to the top. That's the main thing. As you can see, that version of the wall is much smaller, much shorter, a lot more similar to what the actual show is, but just not as fun. I think the NES one is a lot more fun. And that's it. Now we're at the Eliminator. Now, the very first time I did the Eliminator, I had no idea how to move. I was sitting like, I was hitting the directional pads, I was doing everything. It turns out you have to quickly tap the L and R buttons to run. And that's it. You don't do anything else, you basically just run. You run up here, I'm the top again. You grab this bike, and then you run. And then you want to run past these things that are swinging, but that's quite easy. I'm still just tapping L and R. Now I'm on the zip line and I go down. Now I think there are hurdles to jump over here, but it's not easy to jump over them. There we go, we're actually doing quite well. And then this is the last bit, and we have to basically push this gladiator out the way, and we're in the finish. But I didn't really do anything there other than pressing L and R, and a little bit of A to jump over the hurdles. But yeah, that's it. And that's the end. So that's the Eliminator done. We should have got the points for that. Wow, okay, it's ended in a draw. Now, in this game, whenever it ends in a draw, you basically do the Eliminator again. So we're going to get to see the Eliminator one more time. Hopefully we can win it again and win overall. So here we go. Just tapping L and R. on the hand bike. Across the balance beam. Up the cargo net. Down the zip line. Yeah, I think we're going to win this. And keep running. Oh. Jump the hurdles. Push the gladiator out the way. And we've won. And that's it. Now, I'm not a big fan of that eliminator. I think the eliminator in the NES version is a lot more, well, it's very, very difficult, but it's a lot more fun, a lot more interesting. I guess here again, they were trying to make this a little bit sort of closer to what the actual show is, you know, with jumping over things, cargo nets, zip lines and all that. But the NES one is just way more fun. And so that's all the events finished. And now when I press A, that's it. And we go all the way back to the title screen. And that is American Gladiators for the Super Nintendo. If I was going to recommend one, I would recommend the NES version. It's an older game. It's further away from what the actual show is, but it's just a lot more fun. And as I said in the video, this is not a game you're going to be sitting playing for hours, but for maybe an hour or so, or maybe getting some friends around to compete against each other for high scores, it's quite a fun game. Okay, that about does it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this look back at the American Gladiators NES and Super Nintendo games. Let us know your memories of these games and of the show down in the comments below. And if you like this video and the other content on the channel, please don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thanks a lot. See you in the next one.